Welcome back to the Public Pool Podcast. I'm Michaela Pascal. This is Jack O'Shea, aka Jack the Pool Boy.
I got a lot of stuff to say today.
You do?
Not really. I've been watching this one documentary and
That's my favorite sentence you start with. I've just been watching this one documentary, or I've been listening to this audiobook.
It's like embarrassing. I have been watching this one documentary, American Manhunt, Osama bin Laden, and I have been so goddamn jacked up all day.
You haven't already watched that documentary?
It just came out.
Okay.
It just came out.
It sounds like one that's already been out.
I'm sure I've seen it in other forms many a time, but no, this is the first time.
Do you think bin Laden's kind of like your Roman Empire? Like that whole trend where they're like, guys always think about the Roman Empire. Do you think about Osama bin Laden more?
I think that I'm a little bit of an outlier where almost all of those questions of do you think about it? I think about that stuff more than the average bear.
What do you think about the most, do you think? Like, is it like a time period, like a president, an event? Like,
I mean, what I think about most of anything in my entire life is sports statistics.
Okay.
I think about sports statistics. There's not 30 minutes goes by. It's why I'm good at the sports gossip thing. I literally live and breathe this, and I'm constantly comparing it to different things in my life. Like, even before I would teach you about sports, I would be like, oh, the McDonald's has this one deal that's kind of like Robin Ventura during his stint on the Mets. Like I would do that in my head. Okay. But so I would say that.
I think you think about the Kennedys a lot, or you've just, I guess you've read absolutely everything.
I know everything about the Kennedys.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of hot takes about the Kennedys too. But World War II, I'm such a basic bitch.
Yeah.
For a guy.
I mean, it's hard not to be. There's just so much going on in World War II.
It's the best story ever told.
It really is.
It's like it's Game of Thrones, but it's better.
Do you ever think about the Dust Bowl?
Rarely.
I think about the Dust Bowl every now and then, actually.
But does it come from a place of fear or like a place of disgust because you don't like the dirtiness of it?
Well, a fear of just like hey, the wind can just like ruin your life.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, the wind can. That's a really. We should put that on a shirt.
Yeah.
Hey, just so you know, the wind can ruin your life.
No, literally, like just
it really can.
Just comes out of nowhere. Like hurricanes are just like glorified wind.
Although it wasn't. Hurricanes are glorified wind. So are tornadoes, if you think about it.
Yeah, and don't get me started on tornadoes.
I mean, that was a great documentary I watched too. I couldn't tell you about that because it freaked you out so much.
Tornadoes freak me out.
We've had this debate.
Well, I'm a Sharknado survivor, so you have to realize I have PTSD around tornadoes.
You are. but like, we've had the debate so many times of what's scarier, tornadoes or earthquakes.
And I go tornadoes.
And I go earthquakes. But I also grew up having to go in the basement sometimes where tornadoes. And I'm the worst person to ask because a tornado never hit my house. And so I'm like, nothing happens.
Yeah.
Obviously, I would rather be in the middle of, well, not in the eye of the storm because everyone knows that's where it's very peaceful, but near the edges of a hurricane than near the edges of a tornado, obviously.
Okay.
I'm just saying that earthquakes are you don't know, we don't know when they're going to happen.
I know. That's the thing. But I grew up in California and it's like, I've experienced bajillions of earthquakes, but every single time you're like, is it the big one? Nope, it's already over.
Yeah.
It's almost like, not that you want the big one to happen, but you're kind of like, I want a little bit more drama, just like so we can kind of justify the reaction for a minute.
It's like we were saying last week. Every time I'm on a plane, I'm eyeing people, and I don't want them to stand up and do anything. But if they did, I'd probably be like, okay, bucket list, check.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Yeah, because I remember like it was like when we first started dating. Like it was like forever ago. I think it was 2019 because there was no pandemic yet. There were like those days where there was like 3 earthquakes in a row, like 3 days in a row, there was an earthquake.
Yes.
And I remember being like, okay, I think the big one's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it never did. But like, it was because all of them were kind of bigger and it just like kept happening. And so I was like, I think it's gonna, and it didn't.
I wasn't in LA. I was at the lake at the time.
Were you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I came home and my little gear closet with all my, at the time, really shitty cameras was like a little jostled. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, whoa.
That was probably the scariest earthquake experience for me.
Because it kept happening?
One of those ones because one of them happened when I was in a movie theater that was underground.
Yeah.
So like we went into basically like an underground movie theater. Yeah. And so it was like, we're sitting in a dark room. The room shook and nobody knew what to make of it.
Yeah.
And so everyone kind of just like awkward laughed when it stopped. And then I remember I was the person to say, I think we should all get out of here. And then everyone up and moved out and the entire movie theater poured out to the street.
Yeah.
It was weird. I remember calling customer service the next day for a refund on my ticket. And they were like, earthquake.
Earthquake. I like my $14.75 back.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's
2 tickets, like $28,
yeah,
$29.
I like it back.
I would like my cash back.
Although at the same time too, do you feel kind of bad because the movie theater had nothing to do with it?
Yeah, but we didn't get to see the movie.
When I was, that's true.
It happened before the movie even started.
When I was in like 8th grade, a few of my friends and I, we went and we saw the Simpsons movie. Mm-hmm. And this like strange woman came in and she was very Blair Witch Project where she just sat alone. This was before you like had designated seats.
Yeah.
And she was just like, they're watching you, by the way. Like she would just say like the most like vague shit.
I hate that.
And it wasn't a full theater. And there was like probably like 4 other groups of people. And one guy was like, hey, can you stop? And then eventually he got the people and they like removed her, but she was like, they're watching you. And it was just so terrifying. They give us free tickets. I remember being like, I'm not going to use this free ticket. This is a free ticket to hell. That's a free ticket to her. She's in the theater.
She's in the theater. I don't want to see her.
I don't need that.
That's so freaky. Remember when we went to go see, it was the most recent Jurassic World.
Best movie I've ever seen.
I can't believe how bad that
movie was. Worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life.
I can't believe that.
I was laughing the entire movie. I've only done that once, Geostorm. I've only ever done that where I'm like, are you lassoing a dinosaur, Chris Pratt?
I literally smacked you on the arm in the theater like twice because you laughed out loud.
He's on a what, 800-pound horse and he lassos a what, 80-ton dinosaur? And the dinosaur's like, whoa, you got me.
Yeah.
No, the dinosaur doesn't even register that.
No, you were just yanked.
But he was like, ha, cowboy of dinosaurs. What?
And then it was like in the end, he was like speaking to the raptor. And it like nodded.
So at the very end, Chris Pratt, I'm spoiling it for you. You don't even have to see this movie, honestly.
Honestly, you shouldn't.
You shouldn't see this movie.
The rest of the series is great. They just really dropped the ball at that one.
Of the new trilogy?
Yeah.
They're coming up with a new trilogy. New? Yeah, it's like Jurassic
Universe.
Jurassic Rebirth or something. I know. They keep on... I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, but
they jumped from park to worlds pretty hard,
which made sense until they were still at a park.
Yeah.
You know? So
anyways, I cut you off.
Although, you know what would have made sense is if it was like, maybe they were going for like at first it was Disneyland and then they made Disney World. So maybe Jurassic Park became Jurassic World.
Yeah.
Like, this is just the newer improved, and it's in Orlando. But anyway, at the end, Chris Pratt and his raptor, who he controls by just putting his hand out, and the raptor is like, okay, like the raptor and him, like they like return each other's favors in some way. And I started laughing. I was like, I guarantee you, the raptor's gonna nod at him, like he's Clint Eastwood, like doesn't have no words necessary, just yeah. And
like understood.
And the raptor nodded at him.
Yeah.
And then the movie ended. And I was just like, this is... I was going to say a really bad word, but I was like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my entire life. It really is. But anyway, we're hunting bin Laden.
I was going to say, well, we were in Jurassic World. Remember there was the homeless man who came into that theater.
Yeah.
He kept switching seats when people would get up to like go to the bathroom or get like more popcorn. He'd go sit in their seat.
Yeah.
And then the police had to remove him. They're like, come on, buddy.
Come on. And then later, remember there was you saw on Citizen or whatever, Coyote got into the movie theater.
Yes.
I was like,
a bad day for AMC.
What do you do?
Universal City Walk AMC, bad day.
What do you, and everybody in there they just came from the parks.
Yeah.
They're like, I guess we'll see a movie now. And then they sat through the worst movie ever.
But it was Bin Laden.
I'm in the first episode before everything gets all complicated, where they're like, well, should we have been there? And I'm just in the part where they're like, we got to get this fucker. And I am so goddamn jacked up about it.
Yeah.
And
any mentions of the Jessica Chastain type character?
So,
because she's still a nameless lady, right?
So I think that, all of the CIA operatives, and it's all women, by the way. Which makes sense.
If you need to find a man, you're going to ask a bunch of women.
It actually does make sense. And it is the case of almost all of these CIA analysts are women. And it's like, you are naturally really good at Instagram stalking people.
Yeah, it'll take me like 2 seconds.
Yeah, you'll just find them.
Yeah.
Who do we want to be looking for bin Laden? Me, who has to ask you where my car keys are every day? Or you could put a fucking, what do they say? Like a dart in his ass from drone 5,000 miles away.
Yeah.
You can find them.
I'll find them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can find someone I've never met before, someone I've never heard of. Give me a face. I'll
Yeah.
find them.
But anyway, yeah. So the a lot of like the analysts are talking. One of them has her face kind of like covered.
yeah.
Part of me is like, I feel like she's the Jessica Chastain character.
What if it's Jill Biden?
That would be really shocking.
Like, who's the most random person that could be the Jessica Chastain?
If it was actually Jessica Chastain.
Yeah.
If she actually played herself.
Yeah, she's like, plot twist.
Played myself. Yeah.
I
That would be
trust
pretty
Jessica.
sick. I absolutely trust her. God, Zero Dark 30 is so good.
So good.
See, you wouldn't watch that again, would you?
I would actually, because it's not like a sad war movie to me.
Yeah.
It's different.
But like, you wouldn't watch, and it's female led, would you like?
I love when ladies lead.
Yes. Especially like in doing what's considered a man's job.
Which is why I love the female Ghostbusters. I'm just kidding. No, I did see it. I
don't even know if I saw
I
it.
was going to say, I think I did see it.
There have been like 12 Ghostbusters movies in the past few years, and none of them get any praise. And it's like, okay.
Apparently the kids one I think was actually good.
I was excited for it, but then we heard nothing about
Yeah.
it. Is it the one with Paul Rudd's in it?
Yeah.
I imagine it's probably pretty good. It seems like it was
imagine
just
too.
Stranger Things,
Yeah.
because it's like half the Stranger Things
Yeah.
cast, and it was like basically the plot of Stranger Things. But you wouldn't watch this Bin Laden documentary with me, though, right? I don't think so. I think that's kind of Met Gala red carpet for me, where I'm like,
Yeah.
tell me about it.
Tell me about it. Yeah. I don't know, because I'm interested more on like the operation behind it. Unless they were like, they spent half of the time like on 9/11, then I'd be like,
No, they don't. I'd say
then maybe I'd watch.
the first 10 minutes, all they do. Oh my God, I have the sweetest little girl on my lap. You just sat in the cutest way. Don't look at me like that. Anyway, I'm such a loser. I'm a dog dad.
You are a dog dad.
She's like a child. The first 10 minutes, they kind of go over like, okay, so 9/11 happens and we're wondering who was it?
Uh-huh.
And all the CIA analysts are like, Bin Laden.
Yeah.
We told you.
We told you guys.
Because they've been saying it's a lot about the analysts.
Yeah.
Well, it's basically CIA.
Okay. Then maybe I could be into it.
Yeah, we can start it. And if at any point you're like, this is losing me or I don't really want to watch it, I'm going to finish it.
Maybe I'll just let you finish it.
And then,
because I don't know when I'll join in.
But
with
I'll
you.
rewatch it
That's
whenever you want. Like I've seen Band of Brothers more than any other thing ever.
And I don't need to see it.
But if you were something like, hey, do you want to watch Band of Brothers? I'd be like, yes, right now. Yes. Can I watch you watch it? Can I just be looking at you?
I could just watch you watch Band of Brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
But a lot of stuff to talk about this week.
Okay.
I mean, it has been a crazy sports week.
So we'll have maybe a little bit more sports topic-y.
Yeah, we'll have a little more sports topic-y.
I mean, I guess let's just talk about it now. Speaking of sports, something coming out today as we're
Oh,
recording.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
So like, I think it was 2 episodes ago, we came home from the draft and we kind of alluded to, we did something like right after the draft or whatever. And it's so funny. We're talking about this right now. We have not seen it. It's coming out tonight, but we know like by the time this goes up, you guys will have already seen it.
Yes.
So fingers crossed we're good at it. Watch them completely cut us out of it. That'd be hilarious.
Well, we'll explain what it is, and I'll explain to you what I'm worried about.
Okay. So we got invited by the Chiefs.
The Kansas City Chiefs.
The Kansas City Chiefs, which is in Missouri.
Yeah.
Fun fact, guys.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
That's one of my more fun facts to ever give to anyone who doesn't know like sports geography.
Yeah.
Like, did you know Kansas City's not in Kansas? Because it is mind blowing.
I had no idea.
It's like finding out Oklahoma City's not in Oklahoma. It is, but that's insane.
Yeah. But we got asked to be part of the Chiefs schedule release video. And they asked us basically to be part of a cash cab. If
Like
you guys
the show
remember that
Cash
show.
Cab.
Yeah. With the original host. It was amazing. Ben Bailey, who's so much fun. And we got to be in the cash cab with Trent Green.
That's the name.
Remember the name.
who was the quarterback of the Chiefs? Very good when I was a kid. When they told us, we didn't know it was going to be Trent Green. And I was like, Trent Green?
We didn't really know much of what we were going to do besides that we were going to be part of this.
Yeah.
But it was just so funny because it was like, you were like, oh my God, Trent Green. And I was like, I don't know.
Could he have been a nicer guy?
Oh my God, the nicest guy in the world.
Also handsome as hell.
I know.
Right?
God, get him on TV.
Well, he's kind of on local Chiefs stuff, but he should be.
Let's put him in a movie, okay?
He's almost, I think the reason is because he's he's kind of a Superman type guy
Yeah.
where like you kind of want your, national color commentators to have a few skeletons.
Yeah.
You want them to have like there's one guy, it's not even me to talk about, but like Al Michaels, who's one of the most famous. He was John Madden's like partner for a couple decades.
I was gonna say, I know that name actually.
He has like a very well known, he's very functional, but just like he's an alcoholic.
Uh-huh.
You kind of want a little bit of that edge
You need
where
a
it's
little
like,
this. Yeah.
he's probably got some money on the game that he's calling. He's so funny. He always is bitching about the game. He's like, this is a bad game of football.
Yeah, and Trent Green had a little bit more of like the Rob Lowe thing.
Yes.
Or like a Paul Rudd where it's like,
Yes.
I think they're just like nice, handsome guys.
I just kind of
Life's just good.
I just kind of want him in my life.
Yeah.
He's not on social media though, unfortunately,
I
which
know.
makes sense because he's such a good guy.
He's a good guy.
He doesn't need that.
But yeah, I'm like, everyone was just so nice. We were with another like a Chiefs cheerleader. It was just a ton of fun, and so we were super lucky to be part of that.
Yeah.
Again, hopefully we get good at it.
So what are your concerns about it? Because I have a few legitimate concerns.
Not really anything. I feel like maybe just if we were trying to be funny and it didn't land. I guess that's more of a, if maybe us being goofy wasn't exactly like the tone, but I trust them.
My one concern is it's cash cap, and it's when the NFL releases their schedule. So if you don't know, it's not we haven't really gone over like what the NFL schedule release thing is, right?
No, actually.
So the NFL, it's exactly what it sounds like. On this day every year, I'm not sure if it's this exact day, but around now they release like, hey, this is what every team's schedule is. So they do it so that people can buy tickets to certain games and be like, hey, let's go to Vegas because Vegas is playing our team. We'll go this weekend.
Yeah.
And whatnot. It's really not that big of a deal, but
they're making a spectacle of it now.
And it's a fun thing to do.
Anything you can make fun, do it.
What would I describe? It's kind of like, it's kind of like
promposals.
Promposals.
Yeah.
It's not necessary. You're just asking, but it's like, no, have fun with it.
Have fun.
If you can have fun with it, have fun with it.
Yeah.
There's not a lot going on in the NFL after the draft and before preseason starts. So it's like, yeah, let's have a little spectacle. So we went for that. And so obviously, if you can probably guess, the answer to each question was...
Oh, wait, sorry, go back one more. Just that the schedule release has been kind of more of a social media thing for the past couple of years.
Yes.
Where it's like, it's actually something I've seen before.
Yes.
Where it's like, the teams are trying to be funny and creative with the way that they're announcing it.
It's a creative competition in a way.
Was it the Titans that did the Man on the Street one?
The Titans have the funniest one.
Yeah.
They basically went on to Broadway, the big Nashville street, and they asked, they just showed the logo of different NFL teams to people, and they always got the answer wrong of like, oh, that's the Cowboys. And then they would show it's the Colts. And
that's also a board game, actually, the logo game.
Which
if you have the party edition, I'm on the back.
Fun fact.
If you have the logo board game party edition, I'm on the back with my fake family going, yes.
Is it a fake Mexican family?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
See.
But anyway, so the answer to each question was an NFL team. I told them ahead of time, very not humbly. I was like, I'm a little bit worried I'm going to get all of the answers right. There's not going to, I'm going to know all the answers.
Yeah.
Because I'm a huge nerd. And I did know all the answers.
Except for one,
which was the Raiders one. Because I'd never heard of that.
No, it was the mascot for.
No, I got that right. I didn't know the answer, but I guessed it right though.
Oh, yes, you're right. Never mind.
But the Raiders one I got wrong. I'd never heard of what they call their fan base, which is weird because we live in Vegas. My only worry is that they're going to, for the good of the video being entertaining, change answers around.
Yeah, which totally get it. You got to
totally get
make a better video.
My hope though is if they do that, it's not on a really easy question where I look like an idiot.
The thing is though, I got questions wrong, so I think if they're going to go for a wrong answer, they're going to use my legitimately wrong answer.
And either way, do what you got to do. We had so much fun. It was definitely a bucket list thing. I met freaking Trent Green and was on Cash Cap.
Yeah, it was so random, but it was so fun. Like we we got to go to Kansas City. Like we kind of walked around for like a day and a half. We did the barbecue thing, which was so good. It was just a great time. And like everyone who worked for the Chiefs was like the nicest people again.
The nicest people ever, which I also, by the way, you better be. You work that's a sick job.
I know, what an awesome job.
Oh yeah, I'm going to Arrowhead Stadium. That's my office.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
We got to go to the stadium. We kind of got to walk around a little bit. It was just a good time.
It was awesome.
If you guys follow us on socials, which I assume you do, you'll see it there. I guess we'll be posting about it. But yeah, that was just like a super awesome thing. So thanks guys for getting us there.
Yeah, seriously. Thank you. God, my life is so awesome.
It was so funny because we went straight from the draft, like to this shoot. Like we flew straight from there. And so we were gone for a full 7 days. And I just came home and I was like, I just had a full 7 days of football.
Full 7 days of football.
I was like, I am not that I didn't have fun, but I was like, I am a hero. I am a trooper.
You are a hero. Like, wouldn't you have guessed? I feel like a year ago, I would have said it is more likely that you and I are invited to some PR event for the Met Gala or something than we're invited to the NFL draft. That seems way more likely the other way.
Yeah, I would love to see my face if I could tell myself a year ago, like, hey, by the way, you kind of work in sports.
Yeah, you're in sports media now.
You work in sports media.
You are in sports media.
Yeah.
You legitimately are.
I think I would be like, how did I learn that much?
But how? And it's like, that's the whole thing. You didn't.
I don't know anything.
You actually should stay ignorant it's good for business.
Yeah, it's good for business.
Yeah,
which is good because honestly, a lot of the information that's probably the important stuff, it goes through my brain. I'm like, oh, okay, I understand it. And then it just goes through my brain. It's Swiss cheese.
Yeah. Well, because in the end, you don't really care.
I don't. Unfortunately, I just don't.
Yeah.
But I'm having a great time.
It's why I always confuse Cardi and Nicki songs, because in the end, even though I like a lot of their songs, I just don't care who's singing it.
But anyways, I don't know what other topics you got going on today.
Oh, I was just going to say, speaking of you being the Hispanic family thing, one of the, it just fully came out because it's already like kind of suspected, but in Yellowstone, so a big part of Yellowstone is that like half of the city is a Native American reservation. And so one of the sons, Casey, is married to a Native American woman. And that actress, like everything, the guy who created Taylor Sheridan, everything he makes has Native Americans in it. Like it's like a big, he's kind of modern Western storytelling. There's only so many Native American actors.
No, there really is. Yeah.
So none of the white guys are in any different stuff. But every Native American's in every single thing he makes, which is like great for them. And it's funny because you're kind of like, oh, he's the bad guy in this one, but the good guy in this one.
Yeah.
Anyway, his lead Native American actress in this and Wind River, she's 0% Native American. She's just Chinese.
Oh.
Yeah. They're like, she's Chinese, German or something. And it's like, she passes.
I feel like there's a lot of conversations right now around like casting and like wanting to do like exactly what the person is. Because back in the day, you can just be like, this person's Mexican when they weren't, or like this person's black and they're not. Like, that it used to just be like, well, yeah, they're playing a part. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
And I think I'm somewhere in the middle of, I think if you have the actors available, use them. I think that's great. But I think sometimes I'm like, let the straight guy play gay. Like,
well, yeah.
Like,
oh, well, yeah.
There's certain things where it's like, you don't actually, it is acting. Like there is, if you can get a good actor to do whatever, but if you can't, it's fine to use someone else. That's acting. And maybe that's a hot take.
I don't even think it's that hot of a take. I think everyone agrees with it, but it's just everyone agrees with it until they want to get in a fight.
Yeah.
Like we live in a society. There's certain things actors can't do. Yeah. I can't play anything but a white guy.
Yeah.
I'll get in trouble if I do that. But
although we have theories. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you think I got a piece of me? I'm a brother. It's so funny.
There's a little piece in your family history where I'm like, I think you were like, too.
I think a lot of people
you brought it up.
No, it doesn't. It's not crazy. We're all human. It's one race, human race.
This week on TikTok, the trend is that the black community has decided that gingers are black people. So that's,
by the way, that I get that.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of like a really interesting theory.
But yeah, so that's been basically like the joke on TikTok this week.
Yeah.
And so basically it's just been a bunch of gender people making videos being like, we're in an interracial relationship. And like,
No,
and like there'll be like the second I found out I was black and like suddenly they're dancing like super on beat to the music.
Yeah, that's also like, that's so, maybe you know what it is? It's because like you have like guys like Blake Griffin, like really certain types of like really light skinned black guys. Like when you have the you eventually get freckles and red hair. Gingers. Yeah.
Speaking of that topic, I actually do have one question I thought of this week.
Give it to me.
What's a culture you'd want to appropriate if it was okay?
Oh God.
Because I don't have an answer to it. I don't know.
I mean, because, okay, that's really good.
Like if it was okay for us to...
Which, by the way...
Because I guess there's certain aspects of each culture where I'm like, man, I guess I would love to do that, you know?
I mean, Mexicans.
Yeah.
Mexicans are like the best culture.
They really are. But like
They're super family oriented. I'm talking about like we lived in LA for the longest time. I lived downtown for like a year. And there's the Mexican side of downtown. Mm-hmm. That's where I did all of my shopping, all of my laundry, everything. Yeah. Mexican neighborhood. Greatest place to ever go. One, I'm like a freaking 7 foot tall person compared to them. I was just walking like, yeah. But then two, it's like family oriented, best food.
Yeah.
Really good music.
Yeah.
I love me some Latinas.
Yeah.
I'm like,
you know what? I think I sent it to you this week. You know how Ben Affleck always just looks so miserable whenever, especially when there's paparazzi in his face. The one time I finally saw TMZ get him to smile is when he said that he likes Latinas when they were calling him the most eligible bachelor. Yeah. He was like, well, you know, I like Latinas. And he smiled for once.
Okay. So
Latinas make everyone smile.
Okay. So I like people obviously have their different, like
their types.
Their types. I have my entire life known I like Latinas. No, like legitimately, I remember like my mom being like, I'm watching this show, Desperate Housewives. You really shouldn't be watching it. And I remember being like,
I want to see Eva Longoria so bad.
I really want to see you. And it's like, yeah, to me, obviously she's the hottest of the housewives.
I agree.
But I don't think that was like, I think that was kind of a debate at the time. I just, no matter what, whenever there was a Latina character in something, I was like, she's the one I have a crush on.
Yeah.
Like I really like Latinas. I like legitimately, I've always really liked Latinas. You know? I don't know why but that's always been like, there's some guys where it's like, I'm about Asian women.
Yeah.
I'm Latinas.
That's
It's been Latinas. It always has been. I married one. Yeah. I married a Latina. I'm all about it.
You're all about it.
I'm all about it. Yeah. I really enjoy Latinas.
I mean, that one time you did tell me if I didn't speak English, you still would have married me. So
I probably would have married you sooner. I'm kidding.
But anyways, appropriating cultures. You know what? There are certain parts actually of like Indian culture I'd be super interested in. There's a lot of theatrics there that I think but
they're
I will
fun
say
people.
They are. I feel like they're more of a community where they actually do want people to get involved. Like in their like celebrations, welcoming. Like they're much more like, no, like wear like this to this event, like even if you're white, like
which by the way is actually all but one culture.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Except for I think Japan is sort of like stay away. I think every other culture outside of and I'm talking about like countries like outside the US is like, no, please come, please. Maybe not like the French or Italian, but they don't count.
Yeah, they don't count.
You know,
that doesn't count. No,
they don't fucking count. But everybody else is like, no, join us in our spiritual this thing. It's like,
like the Japanese are very like, no, like we want you to like experience our culture.
Yeah,
like,
give our country money. One and two, it's like, no, you're like whenever there's some celebrity getting canceled or some high schooler getting canceled because they wore a kimono or had the chopsticks in the hair, the Japanese are like, this is awesome.
Yeah,
aren't kimonos great? Please do it.
Please.
Okay, are you ready for sports gossip?
Hit me, sister.
Okay, so I just have to preface this by saying that this is a sports gossip that I am very passionate about.
Okay.
People, including myself, are starting to really question whether or not the NBA is rigged.
Okay, spill.
I'm just going to tell this in the order that I think is the best order to tell it in, even though it's kind of tough because there's a lot of there's like 3 stories that I need to combine into one.
Okay.
So it all started a few months ago when the NBA had the most shocking trade in the history of the league. We actually did a whole other sports gossip about it if you want to go back. But basically, The Dallas Mavericks traded their young 26-year-old superstar, Luka Doncic, who just took them to the NBA Finals, to the Lakers for their 32-year-old, always injured, very, very good player, Anthony Davis. Okay?
I remember this, yeah.
The reason why it was so shocking, especially in the beginning, was because it was clearly a very uneven trade. Like, it was very unfair. Why would the Mavericks trade their superstar for a very good player, but they're trading it's just not a fair trade.
Yeah.
The whole thing was very sus.
I remember it just being like, it didn't make sense. There was a lot of unanswered questions.
The whole thing was very sus. But what was really suspicious was the Dallas Mavericks didn't tell any other NBA teams besides the Lakers that they were even willing to trade their young superstar, Luka Doncic.
That's really strange.
Why would you not shop him around?
Yeah, why would you not be like, who's the highest bidder, at least?
And actually, let me back up really quick, too, because this kind of goes into the thing. Somebody else explained it this way, and it's actually a pretty fair explanation. It's like trading Harry Styles for Kevin Jonas, okay? Mm-hmm. It's just a very uneven trade. So why would the Dallas Mavericks not tell any other teams that they were willing to trade Luka Doncic? Mm-hmm. Like, you could get so much more for Luka. You could get so much more for Harry Styles than Kevin Jonas. You could get like half of 5 sauce and 2 first-round picks out of Britain's Got Talent.
Yeah.
Like, it made no sense.
Yeah.
Until Monday night when the NBA had their draft lottery.
Tea, sister.
Okay, so the NBA has what they call a draft lottery. Basically, in order to keep NBA teams from intentionally losing in order to get a higher draft pick, they combat that by having a lottery system where they take the bottom 14 teams, the teams that finished with the worst 14 records, and they put all of their names in a hat, essentially, and then they randomly decide the draft order from those bottom 14 teams. Now, the team that finishes with the worst record, they have the highest likelihood of getting a top pick. They have like 14% chance. The better teams in that 14-team group have like a 1% chance of getting the top pick.
Okay, so the worse you are, basically, the more names you have.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah.
So if you do tank, you do have a better odds of getting a higher pick, but you're not guaranteed. So why would you intentionally lose when it doesn't even mean you get the top pick, basically? It's to combat that.
Yeah.
It seems super fair, right?
Yeah.
Well, it also seems like a really conveniently easy way for the NBA to rig the draft order to what they want it to be, doesn't it?
Scandal.
Like, if you were really concerned. So the NBA right now, here's another kind of story that goes into this. A big underlying story of this whole NBA season is that ratings have been declining for years. Like, I think 5% fewer people watch the NBA this year, which is a really big deal because it's not a problem the NFL has. It's not even a problem the MLB really has.
Yeah.
Like, the NBA is becoming less popular year over year. That's really bad for business.
And they're paying their players more, right?
They're paying their players more. Everything is getting more expensive while they're making less revenue. So it's a big problem.
Yeah.
Anyway, so to get back to the story, guess which team won the lottery this year? Guess which team got the number 1 pick in the draft this year?
Would it be the Mavericks?
It would be the Mavericks. It would be the Mavericks who went to the finals last year, made the playoffs this year, and had a 1.8% chance of getting it. They got the number 1 pick.
I mean, those are some chances.
And I know what you're saying. Anything's possible. Yes, anything's possible. But all of a sudden, the trade is starting to make a lot of sense because if you think about it, Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis is an incredibly stupid trade for the Mavericks. But Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis and the number 1 pick, now that's a pretty fair deal.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's like, okay, wait, let's connect the dots. Why didn't the Mavericks fire their GM the second he made that really dumb trade that everybody was like, this makes no sense?
Yeah, because I felt like they were very secretive about it.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, when you add that factor in, it's like, okay, I guess that's a deal.
Yeah. And here's the thing too. This isn't the first time that the NBA has been accused of rigging the draft lottery. It happens all the time. I'd say every few years. So like, yeah, clearly this team is rigged. In fact, the first time that they had a draft lottery, they actually used envelopes. It was the first and only time they ever used envelopes. In that draft, they were accused, apparently, one of the envelopes was kept in the freezer, so it would be really cold, so that the person who was drawing the envelopes could know which one to pick, and he conveniently picked the New York Knicks, who then drafted future Hall of Famer Patrick Ewing.
Okay.
So along with a lot of people, this is what I think happened. The commissioner of the NBA, Adam Silver, was panicking about the ratings. And the news, like everybody was talking, it was a big storyline. Like, hey, the ratings are going down. What can they do? And people were throwing out reasons. It's because of this. It's because they're shooting too many 3-pointers. It's because they're calling too many fouls. All of these different things. It doesn't really matter what the problem was. business was not booming.
Yeah.
So Adam Silver, the commissioner, he called the Dallas Mavericks and he said, hey, I need you to do me a favor, okay? You're going to trade your young superstar, Luka Doncic, to the Lakers, our biggest team in our biggest market with the biggest fan base, to just give them sort of a boost. Because think about it. Okay, if you're a Ticketmaster and you want to sell more tickets, promoting a Taylor Swift tour is actually going to make you a lot more money and sell a lot more tickets than promoting 10 Carly Rae Jepsen tours.
Yeah.
They want their bigger market teams to be in the news, to be watched. They're going to get more viewers. It's a higher ceiling if the Lakers are doing really well than if the Utah Jazz, Washington Wizards, or Charlotte Hornets are doing well.
Yeah.
Like, you're just going to have more people watching and more people talking about it.
Yeah.
So Adam Silver called the Mavericks and he said, look, LeBron James is probably retiring soon. We need a superstar in our biggest market. Trade Luka Doncic, you'll get Anthony Davis, and we'll give you Cooper Flagg, who's going to be the number 1 pick.
Okay, and so Cooper Flagg's like a big deal?
He's a huge deal.
Okay.
He's like basically guaranteed to be maybe not Luka level, but close.
Yeah.
It's a very fair deal. So it would end up with being the Lakers get a superstar for basically free.
Yeah.
The Dallas Mavericks get a really good deal and a young superstar that gets to hype up their city. Mm-hmm. The league gets a boost in viewership, and the small market teams that got cheated, they just kind of have to suck it up.
But I mean, if there's no market, the small market doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
So
what are you working for the league?
I was gonna say you got to put on your mask first before you can help others.
No, but
if there's no NBA, the small NBA teams can't make any money.
One of the reasons why the NFL is so successful is because there's what's called parity in the league. On any given Sunday, any team can beat another team. That's why it's so fun to watch. It's not fun to watch blowouts. The NBA already has a problem with blowouts because sometimes in the fourth quarter, one team's up 35. The players kind of just chill out. They already play too many games. There's so many issues with the NBA. It's by far the shadiest of the leagues.
They've got to let me in there. They need a pair of fresh eyes.
They do.
Who cares only about entertainment to get in there?
That's the problem. They have too many of you people. I'm like, so,
hey,
yeah.
The WWE is thriving.
Look,
and all they care about is entertainment.
What I hate about this whole situation isn't that it's rigged. It's that they were so blatant about it.
Yeah.
Because if you look back in history, even in the last 15 years, it seems to be a pattern where every time a smaller market team trades their superstar to a bigger market team, they just happen to get the number 1 pick the following year. It happened with Chris Paul. It happened with Chris Paul leaving Charlotte. It happened with Anthony Davis going to the Lakers from New Orleans. When LeBron left Cleveland, Cleveland got the number 1 pick. And when LeBron was deciding whether or not to go back to Cleveland, they got the number 1 pick. Because let's take our biggest star and surround him with more people so that he can go to the playoffs. We're going to get increase in viewership. It's so blatant and so in your faces. And if you're one of those people who's watching and it's like, you know what? Yeah, well, the Mavericks did have a 1.8% chance. It happens way too often that the teams that have a very low percentage chance get the number 1 pick for it to really make a ton of sense. And also, what makes more sense? That the team that made the dumbest trade in NBA history just so happened to also end up with hitting the less than 1 out of 50 chance of getting the number 1 pick, or that this whole thing was set up? Because it makes more sense to me that it was set up.
I mean, if 1 + 2 is 3...
and it's bullshit. It's just complete bullshit. I'm very fired up about it. And I'm sorry if this wasn't a good one because I'm so fired up.
No, I was gonna say actually this is pretty juicy.
Yeah.
This is juicy because I don't know. I mean, cheating scandals anywhere, that'll get you.
Any sort of cheating. Okay, but even besides that, the NBA is the shadiest league of all the leagues.
Okay.
So in baseball and football, teams cheat, players cheat, but the cheating is very similar. And actually, they're kind of only 2 ways to cheat, which is 1, to take performance enhancing drugs, which is an issue athletics wide.
Yeah.
And it's something that's never going to go away. And it's also people are yeah, the player's cheating, but it's not like the league has anything to do with it. And then the other one is sign stealing, which happens in both baseball and football, which again is one of those things where it's it's cheating, but you still have to play the game.
Yeah.
In basketball, there's a real problem because it's the easiest game to throw and it's the easiest game for people to manipulate. So even in the 2000s, there was a huge scandal where one of the refs was caught fixing games because he was betting huge on games. Mm-hmm. It's so easy. It's really hard in baseball or in football for the ref to actually affect the score of the game.
Yeah.
They can slow down the game. They can speed it up. They can, call ticky-tacky plays, but it doesn't mean that the team's actually going to end up scoring. Mm-hmm. In basketball, most fouls that they call ends up with the team that they was the victim of the penalty getting 2 extra points. So say you want there to be say you want this team to score more points, if you call 5 fouls, they get 10 more points.
Yeah, it's a foul game. It's a
huge part of basketball. So that alone and how they kind of brushed it under the rug already has people being like very suspicious. And then I guess honestly, it just kind of goes too deep of just like a lot of almost like the WWE where a lot of things that would be really great for a storyline just conveniently happen.
Yeah.
You know? With the exception of players getting injured, that's what usually pops the bubble. With the exception of players getting injured, because they can't control that. If Jason Tatum looks like he just tore his Achilles, he's out maybe for next year. He's a star player.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. It's really bad for the Celtics.
I did see, side note, them, the video of them like wheeling him backstage. NBA's got to invest in some XL wheelchairs.
They do.
Those are all big boys. You can't put them in a regular size wheelchair.
Let's
give them a little bit more support.
They do. Well, it is really funny. It's like it happens in football too. When like an offensive lineman goes down, that's why in football they bring the car out.
Yeah.
Which you can't really bring a car on the court. But in the NBA, they're just tall. So I think they're like, well, they're not that heavy. We can help them. And it's like his armpits are at your head.
Yeah.
He can't balance on you walking one leg out.
No.
Let's get him some plus sized.
Yeah, let's get some custom made equipment.
Let's probably
get
do
him
that.
out of there.
Yeah. But yeah, the NBA is just so freaking shady right now. And it just feels so obvious. And it's a bummer because it's like, I'm a Washington Wizards fan. This was the year where we were like, there was a part of me that really thought we were going to get Cooper Flag.
Really?
Well, having a superstar player on your team is the difference between finishing last and making the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's football and baseball, again, it's a team sport, way more so. The Angels have been one of the worst teams for the past 10 years. They have arguably maybe the best baseball player of all time, Mike Trout. Doesn't matter. They haven't made the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, because they don't have that much impact. Whatever team LeBron James is on, they make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how good the rest of the team is. They might lose in the first round, but like the Bucks, like they were not a good team. Giannis is not going to miss the playoffs.
Yeah.
So when you're rooting for a team like the Wizards and you're like, this is our chance. And it just seems so clear that the league colluded to give the Mavericks. You're like, fuck you, dude.
That's crazy.
It pisses me off.
Yeah. Because don't you think too that there's a world where it's like, no, if you like really bring up the underdogs, it actually gets a lot more like communities involved and stuff like that. Like the Wizards, where it's like, you don't want like you like keep up with all sports, but like I never really catch you like throwing on basketball unless you're like it's playoffs or like whatever.
Yeah.
If your Wizards were in, there would be more people watching. Like the people who don't normally watch would be like, oh, my Wizards are actually playing. Let's see what happens.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's also just like besides playoff basketball, which I watch the playoffs a lot. It's just such in my opinion, it's a worse product than other sports. Even though I know for you like it because you can always tell kind of what's going on.
Yeah, I was gonna say that to me is way more of a watchable sport than baseball.
But
football.
But it's like more watchable because it's less boring in like the downtime. So there's like not really downtime. But nothing that really happens in a basketball game matters is the problem.
Yeah.
Like making a shot is like nobody's heart rate goes up when their team makes a shot.
Yeah.
Or when the player's heart rate doesn't go up when he makes he's gonna make a lot of shots. I think LeBron has like 60,000 career points. That's so many.
That's crazy.
But so one of his shots is 1 out of 30,000.
Yeah.
Okay. It happens every game 150 times. Like who cares?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's why it's just not. So they have a lot of issues of like, how can we get ratings to go up? And a few years ago, they were like the Golden League where they're like, wow, they really have this great social media stuff and players are getting paid more and advertisements and stuff. But I think it all went to their head.
Yeah.
You know?
And it is really interesting right now where it's like, while the NBA is like going down, there's actually been like the uptick in interest with women's basketball.
Oh, yeah.
And like women's college basketball. It's like people are like really, I feel like I hear more people talk about like women's basketball right now than like the actual NBA.
I'm a huge women's basketball fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they run plays. They do when Michael Jordan was playing, it was like, okay, they're setting up this play. Now basketball is just kind of like run to the end, chuck up a 3, try to get the rebound, and if you get it, you get 2 points.
Yeah.
And try to hit the guy that if you're on offense and you have the ball and there's a defender in front of you, try to jump into him and shoot so that way you get 2 free throws.
Yeah.
It's like that's not a watchable thing.
I know. We're gonna go see the Aces this year.
I love the Aces.
We're gonna see them.
Hell yeah.
Aces, let us in. Just bring us in.
Bring us in.
We'll be your people. Okay, ready for the skinny dip?
I'm ready.
Welcome back to the Skinny Dip, the segment where I help you dip your toes into this week's pop culture news by giving you the skinny.
I'm naked. I'm ready to jump in. I should do this. I should be sitting naked when you.
You should. It's just come back to you with your shirt off. And then for you guys who were here last week, I'm just going to kind of give you the gist of what happened in pop culture. Basically, all the points that piqued my interest.
Mm-hmm.
So the first headline this week is that Morgan Wallen finally addressed his abrupt SNL exit when he went on Caleb Presley's show. When asked if SNL made him mad, he just said, quote, "No, I was ready to go home. I had been there all week. You know, the way SNL always works."
That's a good answer.
He just said, "I just wanted to go home." And then when he was asked about his Take Me Back to God's Country post, he just said, "Yeah."
He seems to me like simultaneously a very complicated and simple person.
Yeah.
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 Somehow he's both complicated and simple.
I think he's just a moody little man.
We all have our moods.
We all have our moods. And then next we have the Knicks game 4.
Game 4 of the Knicks Celtics playoff series.
Whatever. So it gave us a bunch of juice this week.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing that happened is that Cardi B arrived hand in hand with Stephon Diggs.
I guess if it's not Offset.
The last time that they were really seen together was Valentine's Day, and that's kind of when the rumors of them dating started.
Mm-hmm.
But this kind of was a little bit more of a confirmation that they were dating.
You know what's funny is that Stephon Diggs is now playing for the New England Patriots, which is in Boston. So maybe game 4 was in New York. This doesn't matter, but this is like, I was like,
Cardi's a New York girl.
She's a New York girl, but now he plays for Boston.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
And then next, Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet, of course, arrived at the game again, this time with Kendall Jenner.
Are they courtside of Fish now?
They are courtside of Fish, although they already did this at another next
They
game.
already did that, okay.
But they are courtside of Fish. But with Kendall Jenner, another one of her ex-flames, Bad Bunny, was also at the game, but they did not come together.
Bad Bunny.
Bad Bunny.
Con ketchup.
Ketchup. And then Kylie Jenner also had a reunion with former BFF Jordan Woods. And when they saw each other, they seemed super happy. Were hugging and jumping to see each other. So no bad blood.
I feel like their riff was really only in public statements. I don't think they ever really hated each other.
I think that's a theory. Or I think they took a little bit of a break and I think they made up and moved on.
I don't think Kylie was ever super mad at Jordan Woods, though.
I do think she was.
I think Chloe was furious, and I think Kylie was like, I'm going to kind of stay out of it.
I think I would be upset because I would be like, you're my best friend and you hurt my sister.
I would be too, but
Yeah.
I just never got the sense like that.
She did seem really hurt on the Kardashians. I will say that. Like she did seem like really like heartbroken over the situation.
Okay. Yeah. You know better than I do about
yeah.
how, but just from what I was seeing, I was like, it seemed like she was just sort of like, this is awkward for me, so I'm gonna check out.
Yeah. I think she was probably like, shit, like I have to support my sister, obviously, but you're my best friend.
Yeah.
And like, but what you did was wrong. And I can get into that whole situation.
Is Jordan Woods dating someone?
Yes. Karl Anthony Towns.
On the Knicks.
We went over that. Yes. He's on the Knicks.
He's on the Knicks. I was gonna say, because the Cavaliers are playing, Tristan Thompson's on the Cavaliers right now. So I was like, they weren't at the Cavs game, but you know what? Oh, the Cavs are gonna be out too. I was like, there's also a chance. Actually, the Cavs are out. The Pacers won. Never mind. Cut that part. I love you.
Cut that. On the internet side of things, Catherine from the Ace family, the mom, just announced that she wrote a book that's going to be coming out in July.
Ooh, juicy.
Juicy.
Yeah.
And it looks like she's detailing the cheating that Austin McBroom did on her. But now Austin is trying to defend himself poorly via Snapchat.
What? No, everything he does is smart.
Some of his defenses included, he said that she wasn't basically having sex with him while, she was pregnant, postpartum, all that stuff.
That's why he cheated on her while she was pregnant.
And he said that she said, "Don't embarrass me." And he took that as, go do what you need to do. Just don't make me look bad.
Just don't get caught.
Yeah. He just took that story and ran with it because obviously that's totally what she meant.
They were lost in translation, baby. It happens. It happens.
And then he also was saying, He also was saying that he was trying his best to support her, but she started getting very strange and spiritual, and said that at some point she, quote, turned him into a mermaid. And you know what? I believe her. Believe women.
I have questions. You know, I know that there are going to be a lot of like shocking statements and twists and stories that come out of this book, but at the same time too, I don't think anything that comes out will be shocking to me.
Yeah.
That it happened.
But anyways, I will be buying her book and be putting money in her pockets.
Love it.
Okay, so some of our quick stories for the week. Simu Liu is engaged to his girlfriend, Allison Shu.
Love it.
One of the biggest engagement rings I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Good for Simu.
Yeah. And then also this week, Cassie Ventura bravely took the stand to testify against Diddy while 8 months pregnant.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wishing her peace because that's a lot.
That's a lot.
I think she's doing it over the span of like 3 days.
Oh, God.
And speaking of testifying at trials, Kim Kardashian finally just took the stand at the trial for her robbery that happened in Paris in 2016. Wow. She did arrive to the court actually wearing millions of dollars worth of jewelry.
Just shoving in their faces.
I think, and a lot of people are judging her for that. Genuinely, I think that was a big fuck you. Because people who are super fans of the Kardashians actually know that she stopped wearing obscene jewelry like that after the robbery. So I think that while it was showy, I think that was kind of a way of her taking her power back.
Anybody who hates the Kardashians for no reason needs to watch the episode where she goes through what happens in the robbery.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
People who think that that was like a setup and a PR thing are like sick.
Insane.
Salma Hayek looks as good as ever on the cover of Sports Illustrated this year.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah, good for her.
Latina. You know I like me some Latinas.
You know I like them. And then finally, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift were spotted in Philadelphia spending Mother's Day with the Kelce family.
That's very, very sweet.
Yeah.
It's very sweet.
And that's your skinny dip for the week.
Do you think that this Mother's Day, do you think that like they got any questions for like, so when
I wonder.
will we get another Kelce?
I don't know if they'll have, I'm wondering if they'll ever have kids. I'm thinking actually no. I think an engagement is in their future.
She seems like an adopter.
I could see that.
And I don't know how well that will go, but I wish them the best.
I wish them the best.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to say, I think that they're going to be engaged before September.
I could see that.
That's my guess. I could see them getting engaged in August.
I think it depends on if she's releasing an album.
Possibly.
I think so.
Possibly.
They're kind of the inverse of us.
Yeah.
They're kind of the inverse of us where it's like the sports world is trying to like be like, hey, can you help bring this audience? And she's to the NFL like, hey, can you help me bring this audience? You know,
I don't
mutually beneficial.
Mutually beneficial. But I do think the relationship is real.
I do think it's real.
But I think she's kind of giddy to be with like a man for once and not a sickly British boy.
I think
as she should.
As she very much should. As somebody who, ever since he became famous, now I think the most you look like him is Travis Kelce for me.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm a large man with short facial hair and a buzz cut. And apparently we all look alike. It's true, though. I swear to God, like half the time I was like, why is Travis Kelce anyway.
And then you sound like Ryan Reynolds.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think it's real. And my reasoning is because he seems like he's really out of shape now.
Yeah.
And that seems like a guy who's pretty satisfied with life. Why go to the gym?
Why go to the gym when you could hang out with your girlfriend in her vacation house in like Cape Cod or something? How nice is that?
I mean, he's already a Hall of Famer. He's already got the rings. He's like, if I could miss out on these 10 vacations and be really ready for the season, or we could lose one game this season because I'm not in peak condition.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to the 10 vacations.
Do we don't know if we do know he's not retiring?
He said he's going to play.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious to see how it goes.
I'm not sure it's the best move. We'll see.
Do you think if they'd won the Super Bowl, they would have retired or he would have retired?
You know what though? The only reason why I'm not sure is because they had won the previous 2 Super Bowls and everybody thought for both of those that he would announce his retirement. This happens all the time in sports.
Yeah.
Where a player, there's been a number of times, Ray Lewis, Michael Strahan, where after players win the Super Bowl.
I knew both of those guys.
You do. You actually do know. After they win the Super Bowl, they announce their retirement. It's like, awesome. They're going on a high note.
Yeah.
And then there's so many times where it's like, remember with Tom Brady?
Yeah.
It was like, dude, you won the Super Bowl. Leave.
Be done.
And he was like, one more year. Then he got a divorce, lost in the first round of the playoffs. And it's like, you should have listened when people were like, be done, dude.
Be done.
End on a high note. You end with being the greatest ever.
I know. Don't you feel like the end really kind of tanked his legacy?
A little bit. No,
Because
not
he's-
to football fans.
Not forever, because it's still like people say Tom Brady the way they do like LeBron James a little bit, where they're like, he's the Tom Brady of this or whatever. He will always be. But I think in the current state, it's like he kind of, I think of him a little differently right now.
Yes.
And that'll go away. The 100% will go away.
Yes.
But for now, I am kind of like, man, you really fumbled the end.
You know what, though? I wouldn't say it hurt his legacy. I actually don't think it did whatsoever. I think what it didn't do was if he had ended on winning the Super Bowl, it would have boosted his legacy.
Yeah.
Because people would be like, and he just, because you could then say he probably would have won the next year too.
Yeah.
Because he won the Super Bowl and was like, I'm out. And like, the guy could have won as many Super Bowls as he wanted. He decided to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough.
It's tough.
And nobody, honestly, I'm so of the team, but like, you can't judge him. You've never been in his shoes.
No, absolutely.
You've never been the greatest person to do something ever.
Yeah.
And been told, stop.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck you, I'm not going to stop.
I think that's it for the day.
That's all I got.
That's all I got.
Guys, grab a margarita, towel off. We'll see you next week.
See you next week, girlfriends. Go watch the Chiefs video if you haven't already.
Yeah,
or don't if it's bad for us for some reason.
Or watch American Manhunt, Osama bin Laden.
And don't watch Jurassic World.
Jurassic World 3.
3. Yeah.
Or do. It's funny.
Or do.
watch the beginning, watch the end. I cried laughing twice. He laughs as a dinosaur, and then a dinosaur nods at him.
Yeah.
Like Clint Eastwood at the end of a Western.
Anyways, adios.
All right, love you guys. Towel off.